Okay, and we're back. In today's video, we're talking all about where stage combat came from. What's up, Warriors? Welcome to the channel. I hope you're enjoying what we do here, and if you are, then please remember to like, share and subscribe. Today we're talking all about where stage combat came from. So let's get started. Stage combat can be traced back to ancient history, as far back as 384 BC. This is from the Greek philosopher Aristotle. He noted about martial ability and ritualized forms of mock combat. This was a natural occurrence in warrior societies and often evolved into war dances. Then in 484 BC in ancient Egypt, Herodotus talks about religious festivals where people would hit each other with staves, but no one would die. It didn't make sense to sacrifice citizens in these rituals. So many ancient civilizations turned to gestured combat. This was displayed through dancing or bringing a weapon to someone's neck or throat without actually touching them, to symbolize an act of violence or death. Then we jump forward to 625 BC. The Roman era. Fighting for entertainment had become a huge sport, and so the gladiators were born. Hollywood seems to portray the Roman gladiators contests as brutal, ruthless duels that only ended when one combatant killed the other. But the reality is, gladiators didn't always fight to the death. They used stage combat to entertain the crowd and to keep the gladiators safe. These ancient Roman athletes were highly trained professional fighters and made a living from fighting for entertainment, not by dying. Gladiators were expensive to prepare, so killing off a mass number of them would have been bad business. Occasionally, a sponsor would pay extra to stage a fight to the death, compensating for the loss of the gladiator. So Hollywood, you got it wrong. And now we have the Middle Ages, 500 to 1500 AD. The Knights and the Judicial Duel. The judicial duel was a trial by combat, a method of German law to settle accusations in absence of a witness. Two parties in dispute fought in single combat. The winner of the fight was proclaimed to be right. In the late Middle Ages, fencing became popular, and so fencing schools opened. In Germany, combat manuals were made, focusing on the different points of stage combat. You had flamboyant techniques, which were to be used in knockabout fighting. Then we had rant fighting and earnest fighting. Sounds like a load of fun to me. Now we're going to jump forward to the Elizabethan era, the time of the great William Shakespeare. Richard Tarleton was a professional fencer and Queen Elizabeth's favourite clown. He was a member of both William Shakespeare's acting company and the London Masters of Defence Weapons. So he stood alongside some of the first fight directors in the world. In Asia, Kabuki theatre was born by a woman named Izumono Kuni. She performed a new style of dance which she had created. Young girls gathered to learn these new dances, which later developed into shows and plays. One of the key elements of Kabuki theatre was stage combat. They had a very simple piece of fight choreography that could be performed hand-to-hand or with swords. Now, the late 17th and 18th century, fencing masters in Europe began to research and experiment with historical fencing techniques. They looked at weapons such as a two-handed sword, a rapier and a small sword. They then went on to instruct actors on how to use them. A notable fight director of this time was George Dubar. He was a fight director and martial artist. He created a performance fencing style based on gladiators' combat. He also created rapier and dagger fencing. Egerton Castle and Captain Alfred Hunton were also involved in creating fencing systems and techniques and teaching them to actors. Then we have the late 19th and 20th century. Scenes of swordplay in theatrical productions were created by combining several widely known generic routines, known as standard combat by the name Round of Eights and Glasgow Tens. In the 1920s, cinematic fencing found its roots in movies with Douglas Fairbanks known for his swashbuckling roles in silent films, such as Robin Hood and The Mark of Zorro. Then martial art movies emerged, popularized by Bruce Lee and many more. After Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan came along and introduced something fresh. He chose to break away from the Bruce Lee mold by creating comedic kung fu films. But when others started imitating his comedic style, Jackie Chan reinvented himself. He created insane low-tech stunt work, which he performed himself and began to feature in contemporary films. These films helped draw international attention to what filmmakers in Hong Kong were doing at the time. Another celebrated fight director that emerged in this time was Paddy Crane. He revolutionized stage combat, in particular swordplay for stage and screen. He promoted safety above all things and focused on the story of the fight. Two students of Paddy's were B.H. Barry and J. Allen Sutton. They are two fight masters who have continued to develop Paddy's legacy. Barry helped found the Society of British Fight Directors, while J. Allen Sutton went on to found the National Fight Directors Training Program in the United States, and wrote an incredible book called Fight Direction for the Theatre. And here we are today. Stage combat has become a well-known term. Every actor will receive some form of training in it, and it is constantly used on stage and screen. Without it, we wouldn't see epic movies like the Marvel Universe, 300, Bruce Lee's masterpieces, Kill Bill, or TV series like Game of Thrones, Daredevil, The Witcher, or theatre scenes that get you on the edge of your seat with gory fight scenes and epic battles. None of this would be possible without stage combat. So there you have it, where stage combat came from in a nutshell. Thank you for watching, Warriors. Please remember to like, share and subscribe, and let us know in the comments what your favourite fight scene is, whether it be stage or screen. We can't wait to hear all about them. And I'll catch you again soon, Warriors.